I've been working on something big. And if I'm right, it means that most narcissists are walking around out there undiagnosed, hiding in plain sight with little chance of ever being caught. It's January 26th, 2013. Dr. Elsa Roningstam publishes a paper on narcissistic personality disorder. She finds that the amount of narcissists in the United States ranges from 0.5 to 5% of the US population. This paper. Now, this thing has literally been quoted all throughout the internet to basically describe how rare narcissists are. I mean, it's literally the first Google result that pops up from the Cleveland Clinic when you ask Google how common narcissism is. So they're rare, right? Nothing to worry about. Well, there's just one problem. I think this is wrong. I think the real number is much, much higher. And if I'm right, it's a major problem that no one is talking about. Chapter 1, the diagnosis problem. Okay, so narcissism is typically diagnosed with this, a 40-item questionnaire known as the Narcissistic Personality Inventory, or NPI. You can actually take it on Psych Central if you are curious. Anyways, according to the University of Michigan, the lowest you can score on the NPI is a 0. The highest is a 40. Average in the US is between 15 and 16 depending on age, gender, and other variables. Now, this questionnaire needs to be administered by a psychologist or licensed professional to avoid jumping to hasty conclusions because NPD can trigger countertransference. There's just one problem. Look at this. This was taken directly from another research paper on narcissism. Now, most of the time, NPD patients come into contact with clinicians during emergencies. In other words, most narcissists are never going to take this NPI test at all. They're not going to get checked out for the 5 DSM traits that everyone's always talking about. Someone who's truly narcissistic is rarely likely to volunteer that they need help. They're not going to say that they have a problem. Thus, they don't seek out help for that problem. According to the Scientific American, vulnerability is almost always present in a therapist's office, but individuals high in grandiosity are unlikely to show up for treatment. But there's also something else about narcissists that causes them to get overlooked. Chapter 2. Hidden amongst worse behavior. Look at this quote from the National Center of Biotechnology Information. Other disorders, such as antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and schizotypal personality disorder, are also common in people with NPD. So people who are narcissists are also likely to exhibit other disorders as well. I'll give you an example. What's the first thing you think of when I show you a picture of Ted Bundy? Serial killer? Murderer? What about antisocial disorder? According to a survey sent out to psychologists, nearly 80% of the respondents described Bundy as a prototypic case of antisocial personality disorder. But Bundy was also a narcissist, a textbook narcissist, in fact. But he was also a lot of other things as well. Antisocial, psychopathy, bipolar, potentially, borderline, schizoid, addictive, Machiavellian, and that's the point. True narcissism isn't often at the top of that list. There are far flashier, far more frightening disorders that sort of take its place or take center stage. Now, Ted Bundy is obviously an extreme case, arguably the most extreme case. But it goes to show that someone who is a narcissist isn't usually just a narcissist. There are a lot of other things as well. They have accompanying behaviors, often worse behaviors. Chapter 3. There's no such thing as covert or grandiose narcissism. Let's ruffle some feathers. A few months ago, I filmed this video about narcissism where I talked about the importance of not viewing narcissists in these two buckets. They're not covert and they're not grandiose. Instead, you should always view narcissists on a spectrum. And there's a growing movement of psychologists who believe that as well. Most psychologists who treat patients say that grandiosity and vulnerability coexist in the same individual, showing up in different situations. But not all academic psychologists buy into this idea. Some believe that these two traits do not overlap. And this debate has raged for decades without resolution, most likely because of a conundrum. Vulnerability is almost always present in a therapist's office, but individuals high in grandiosity are unlikely to show up for treatment. Unfortunately for the academics, it seems like the clinicians who are actually treating individuals with narcissistic personality disorder might have it right. Brain science is contributing to a better understanding of narcissism. Now, it's unlikely to resolve the debate, but preliminary studies are coming down on the side of clinicians. Vulnerability indeed seems to be the hidden underside of grandiosity. But is this a case where someone who's a grandiose narcissist is aware that they're a grandiose narcissist, so they're putting on a front using covert traits to blend in, to hide amongst the crowd? No. I think it's a lot more complicated than that. Think of a scale existing within every single narcissist. Now, on one side of the scale, you have grandiose traits: arrogance, aggression, exploitative, showing off. And then on the other side of the scale, you have covert traits. They're resentful, introverted, guilt trips, negative attitudes. Now, with every narcissist, there's a dominant side to the scale. This means that a narcissist can mainly be grandiose or mainly be covert.